Steven McFadden was born in 1948 and grew up in the Boston area of Massachusetts. He graduated from Wellesley High School in 1967 and went on to earn a BS in journalism from Boston University in 1975. His formal training in journalism laid the foundation for a career devoted to exploring humanity's relationship with the earth and spiritual wisdom. From early on, McFadden felt drawn to explore intelligent and spirited ways of living on the earth, and then to explain in writing what he had been able to understand. After college, McFadden entered the world of newspapers. He worked for several years as editor of the Watertown Sun and as a columnist for the Belmont Herald. During the late 1970s, he also served in communications roles, including communications director for SPS Communications and senior writing associate with John Mercer Associates, honing his skills in writing and editing. This period gave him solid experience in traditional journalism and storytelling. In the early 1980s, McFadden became an independent writer, moving to rural New Hampshire to freelance on magazine and newspaper pieces, teach writing classes, and write audiovisual scripts. In 1985, he founded Chiron Communications, an enterprise serving as an umbrella for his writing, storytelling, and healing work. Named after the mythic centaur who bridges worlds, the enterprise reflected McFadden's goal of uniting different realms of knowledge. By the late 1980s, he turned to book-length projects on sustainable agriculture, indigenous wisdom, and spirituality, themes that would define his life's work. One of McFadden's most significant contributions has been preserving and communicating Native American spiritual teachings. His 1991 book Profiles in Wisdom, Native Elders Speak About the Earth presents interviews with 17 Native American and First Nations elders who share their stories, wisdom, and guidance for living in harmony with the earth. In Ancient Voices, Current Affairs, 1992, later revised as Legend of the Rainbow Warriors, 2001, McFadden explored the Rainbow Warrior prophecy that foretells a time when people of all colors unite to heal the planet. His Little Book of Native American Wisdom, 1994, compiled spiritual sayings and teachings from various tribes into accessible form. Beyond writing, McFadden took part in the Sunbow 5 Walk of 1995-96, a 2,500-mile pilgrimage across North America led by Native elders and spiritual guides. He chronicled this journey in Odyssey of the Eighth Fire, an online epic recounting the walk and the wisdom shared during it. The project preserved the teachings of the elders who led the pilgrimage, serving as both a historical document and a spiritual reflection on healing and unity. Alongside his work with Indigenous wisdom, McFadden became a prominent voice in sustainable agriculture and community-based farming. He co-authored the first U.S. books on community-supported agriculture, CSA, with Trauger Grow, Farms of Tomorrow, 1990, and Farms of Tomorrow Revisited, 1998. These books introduced and expanded the CSA concept, showing how direct partnerships between farmers and consumers could create resilient local food systems. In The Call of the Land, An Agrarian Primer for the 21st Century, 2009, expanded 2011, McFadden examined sustainable farming initiatives that promote food security and ecological renewal. His 2019 work Deep Agroecology, Farms, Food, and Our Future integrated Indigenous wisdom with ecological farming principles, arguing that genuine sustainability requires both spiritual intelligence and environmental stewardship. The book earned the 2020 National Indie Excellence Award in the environmental category. McFadden's advocacy extended beyond publishing. As National Coordinator for Earth Day USA in 1993, he collaborated with the Seventh Generation Fund to promote environmental awareness for Earth Day's 25th anniversary. He also chronicled the CSA movement's growth since its beginnings in the 1980s, documenting its development as a transformative model of community resilience and ecological responsibility. Spiritual inquiry has been central to McFadden's career. In the early 1990s, he became a Reiki master and went on to teach hundreds of students across North and Central America. His collaboration with John Harvey Gray produced Hand to Hand, The Longest Practicing Reiki Master Tells His Story, 2002, documenting Gray's spiritual journey. McFadden also compiled Teach Us to Number Our Days, Inspirational Thoughts on Wisdom and Aging, 1996, gathering cross-cultural reflections on growing older. His 2013 book Classical Considerations, Musings Prompted by the Late John H. Finley Jr. pays tribute to his mentor, the Harvard classicist John H. Finley Jr., blending philosophy and storytelling to explore meaning, truth, and purpose. As director of the Wisdom Conservancy at Merriam Hill Education Center in New Hampshire, McFadden facilitated learning programs devoted to spiritual and cultural wisdom. His public lectures often bridged agriculture, healing, and philosophy, reflecting his holistic worldview. Over more than 5 decades, Steven McFadden has authored or co-authored 15 nonfiction books and numerous essays and reports. He continues to live on the Great Plains in Nebraska with his wife Elizabeth Wolfe, who assists in his publishing endeavors. In recent years, he has worked on Windwalker, The Sacred Journey of Natani Leon Secatero, a biography of a Navajo spiritual leader, reflecting his ongoing dedication to honoring Indigenous voices. Today, McFadden continues writing and speaking through his deep agroecology platform, sharing insights on agriculture, food systems, and humanity's relationship with nature. He remains active in his 70s, expressing his intent to continue contributing into his 90s. His life bridges the worlds of journalism, spirituality, and ecological thought, unified by a consistent mission to heal the relationship between people and the earth. The invocation by Venerable Diani Uahu in Legend of the Rainbow Warriors serves as a spiritual opening to the book, calling upon humanity to awaken to its sacred responsibilities toward the earth and one another. Diani Uahu, a Cherokee and Buddhist teacher, offers a prayerful reflection on harmony, compassion, and the unity of all beings, reminding readers that the balance of the natural world mirrors the balance within the human heart. The invocation blends indigenous and universal spiritual wisdom, urging people to act with respect, mindfulness, and love so that peace and healing can return to the planet. It sets the tone for the book's exploration of prophecy, renewal, and the awakening of the rainbow warriors who will help restore balance to the world. The prologue says we're living through a moment when the old promise that wealth equals happiness has run aground, wrecking ecosystems and fraying our shared story, so the book offers a new/ancient compass, the legend of the rainbow warriors. Not a lone hero prophecy, it's a call for people of every background to wake up as everyday guardians of life, blending reverence for the sacred with wise science and technology. The author calls the approach mythojournalism, weaving factual reporting with mythic meaning to help us act with courage and care. Whether the legend is literally true matters less, he argues, than whether it helps us live well together, and he offers the book as a practical, inspiring guide to that work. Legend of the Rainbow Warriors opens with the author meeting Brooke Medicine Eagle, who shares a powerful vision received after a 4-day fast on Bear Butte. A radiant spirit woman appears as a living rainbow, a double circle of teachers dances, and Brooke is shown that the world is in a time of great change caused by human actions, calling people to awaken and act. The chapter links this rainbow call to real-world activism, most vividly, Greenpeace naming its flagship the Rainbow Warrior, showing how the legend already inspires collective effort. When Brooke later addresses a circle again, she frames the moment starkly. The good news is that those who feel this call are the Rainbow Warriors. The bad news is that the work must begin now to build a world that works for all beings. Overall, the chapter establishes the legend as a living summons for ordinary people to become guardians of the earth through courage, community, and action. Council of the Elders gathers teachings from native elders to show how the rainbow legend lives across Turtle Island. Many versions share the same core themes: reverence for earth and all beings, and unity through diversity, with Hopi elder Thomas Banyasaya calling the rainbow a sign of humanity's coming together as one family. It recounts Crazy Horse's vision of a dark era culminating in 2 world wars, followed by an awakening in which people of every race dance together under the sacred tree and help make the world new in peace and harmony. The chapter then consolidates elders' teachings, highlighting the Algonquin 7 fires wampum. In the time of the 7th fire, new people return to the elders for guidance and must choose between a road of destructive, greed-led power or a spiritual path of respect that can ignite an 8th fire of lasting peace. It also traces the modern echo of these prophecies and rainbow gatherings, annual, money-free camps centered on prayer, cooperation, and healing, offered as living experiments in the unity the legend envisions. Rainbow Heritage, Rainbow Destiny argues that America's rainbow destiny was seeded by a fusion of European esoteric traditions and indigenous, Turtle Island, wisdom. It traces the founders' Masonic and occult interests, from Washington's cornerstone rites to star-aligned streets in D.C., and contends they consciously married old world order with native principles of tolerance and participatory democracy, especially those of the Haudenosaunee Great Law, later acknowledged by Congress. A famous tale of Washington's angelic vision frames 3 national crises, while the Great Seal's symbols, eagle, pyramid, eye, repeated 13s, mottos, are read as a mandate to place spiritual vision above material power and to achieve unity from diversity. The chapter concludes that the new age won't be led by single heroes, instead ordinary citizens must embody these ideals, turning the turbulent melting pot into alchemy, so the U.S. can remain a beacon, signaled by liberty's torch and the eagle in flight. A Legend Aroused describes how the Rainbow Warrior legend leapt from myth into action through the birth of Greenpeace. Protests against U.S. nuclear tests at Amchitka in 1969-71 galvanized Canadian activists who renamed their Don't Make a Wave committee to Greenpeace and set sail to confront the blast, launching a global campaign style of bold but non-violent direct action. Journalist Robert Hunter helped weave Indigenous prophecy into the group's ethos after reading Warriors of the Rainbow. The crew embraced the image of many peoples uniting under the rainbow to defend Mother Earth. Greenpeace soon acquired and rechristened a ship the Rainbow Warrior and carried out high-profile ocean campaigns. In 1985, French agents bombed the vessel in Auckland Harbour, killing a photographer, yet the movement rebounded with a new Rainbow Warrior launched in 1989, asserting that you cannot sink an idea. The chapter frames these events as a wider awakening. Millions stirred to Earth's peril, asking whether the war for the planet could be won through confrontational but non-violent means, and marking 1987 as a cosmic alarm clock that ushered in an age of flowers consciousness for would-be rainbow warriors. A Calendar Calls explains why time itself became a rallying drum for rainbow-minded activists. It introduces indigenous timekeeping, especially the Maya 260-day Tsoken, the 365-day Hab, their 52-year calendar round, and the long count, and recasts the much-hyped 2012 rollover not as doomsday but as the end of a great cycle and an opening for a shift in human consciousness. The chapter contrasts mechanical, profit-driven clock time with natural time keyed to lunar phases, solstices, Venus cycles, and ceremonial observances, arguing that people who live by these rhythms tend to live more gently with Earth. It highlights popularizers like the harmonic convergence/13 moon movement as imperfect but useful bridges back to cyclical awareness. The takeaway: a calendar can be a call to remember who we are and when we are, an invitation for would-be rainbow warriors to sync their lives and activism with living cycles rather than deadlines. On the Threshold argues that the 1987 harmonic convergence was less a one-day spectacle than the doorway to a 25-year transition, prompting many to see it as the start of an evolutionary epoch whose upheavals could be softened if people lived in balance with the sacred hoop of creation. In the years after, the book links a drumbeat of crises, religious conflicts, ecological warnings from birds to bleaching seas, extreme weather, ozone loss, and accelerating global warming, as signs of an ominous but galvanizing time. Indigenous voices like the Kogi warn that the younger brother is killing the mother and must help repair the world, while other elders frame the period as a cleansing that demands wisdom over technology and a recommitment to earth care. Alongside environmental alarm, the chapter catalogues paradigm-shaking shifts in science, religion, and culture, from new human origins timelines to challenges within Christianity, UFO reports, and the enduring mystery of crop circles, portrayed as expanding human consciousness beyond old confines. The takeaway: treat the turbulence as a call to build lifeways in harmony with nature, the charge of the Rainbow Warriors as we cross the threshold into a new world age. Message of the Hopi presents the Hopi elders' teaching that all peoples are flowers in Great Spirit's garden, and outlines their role as messengers of peace whose history and prophecies, kept with sacred stone tablets, foretell our passage from a time of chaos, Koyaanisqatsi, toward a great purification that could open a new world if humans choose wisely. The chapter recounts the old pledge that the world's rainbow peoples would reunite and balance material and spiritual life, a hope the Hopi felt was rebuffed in their first meeting with Coronado's men, and later eroded by U.S. policies like the Dawes Act that imposed private land ownership and sowed division. In modern times, Messenger Thomas Banyasaya carried the warning to the House of Micah, the UN. Humanity must examine its complicity in Earth's destruction and set things right. Elders even displayed the Fire Clan tablets, saying current famine, sickness, disasters, and weapons buildup signal a dangerous stage that demands a return to Earth-honoring ways. Overall, the Hopi message is both caution and invitation. The purification is not fated to be catastrophic if peoples remember their shared roots, live simply, and act together in peace to help the world through the transition. Messengers at the House of Micah recounts how Hopi messenger Thomas Banyasaya carried out the elders' instruction to make a fourth and final knock at the United Nations, the House of Micah entering ceremonially in 1991 and, a year later, gaining a limited opening for Indigenous voices in the General Assembly Hall, after it had formally adjourned, on December 10, 1992, where some 20 nations spoke but were largely ignored by delegates and media. The chapter frames the UN's tepid response against a dramatic coastal storm that flooded UN subfloors the same night, followed by a four directions prayer led by Banyasaya that many present felt calmed the tempest. A year later, the Cry of the Earth gathering brought dozens of elders to UN headquarters, where they warned we were in the time of withering fruit and urged a return to the Creator's original instructions: love, respect, forgiveness, honesty, sharing, and met privately with Secretary General Boutros Ghali. Ban Yesaya later said the Hopi duty to deliver their message at the House of Micah had finally been fulfilled, while delegates asked for an enduring seat for indigenous peoples. Subsequent UN human rights inquiries and environmental reports echoed elders' warnings about land, sovereignty, and ecological collapse. White Buffalo and Whirling Rainbow weaves the Lakota prophecy of White Buffalo Calf Woman with late 20th century events. It retells how she brought the sacred pipe and 7 ceremonies, promised to return in the dawn of a new day, and said a white buffalo calf would be the sign, and would change colors as she did. In 1994, a white calf, Miracle, was born in Wisconsin, prompting ceremonies led by Floyd Hand, an Arvel-looking horse, who framed the birth as an omen of reconciliation among the 4 colors of humanity and a call to heal the earth. The story includes the uncanny death of the sire, Black Blockage, noted by a medicine man. The chapter tracks further signs, multiple subsequent white buffalo births, culminating in Miracle Moon's calf, Rainbow Spirit, the 7th since 1994, which Looking Horse said marked the end of a cycle. In parallel, a multi-faith Whirling Rainbow Prayer Walk, 1995, carried a unity message across 3,700 miles from Cape Cod to the Pacific, embodying the prophecies call for peoples of many colors to walk together in peace and sacred ecology. Hails of Alinta, Rainbow Down Under follows Aboriginal storyteller-filmmaker Lorraine Maffei Williams, Alinta, Woman of the Fire, as she shares Dreamtime teachings and her mission to renew the ancient link between Australia's First Peoples and the Indians of Turtle Island to help the rainbow re-emerge. She recounts her birth omen, years as part of the Stolen Generation, and later initiation into Aboriginal spirituality. Mentored by Elder Millie Boyd, custodian of sacred sites such as Wollongong, she tells how these places connect a planetary energy grid. Alinta describes ties among Aborigines, Native Americans, and Tibetans, including a prophecy of Tibet's teachings reappearing at Uluru, and even a remembered North American guardianship of Wollongong, Wagatha, symbolizing this intercontinental kinship. Central to her warning is the rainbow serpent/energy grid and the threat posed by mining at Coronation Hill, the head of the serpent, said to endanger Earth's balance and human health. Elders urge protection and ceremony over extraction. She relays a 1975 council's predictions, droughts, grid breakdown, the rise of hate groups, and children's suffering, as signs of a great purification already unfolding, with First Peoples called to lead by example in peace and responsibility to Earth. Alinta's vision foresees humanity moving through upheaval toward a golden world, guided by a council of 8 elders, a woman and man from each of the 4 races. The heavenly host only monitor while people of all colors use their gifts, modern communications included, to uphold the sacred hoop, watch the rainbows, and help the planet through the transition. Blossoms in an Age of Flowers reframes the coming transition with a unifying image, the Age of Flowers noting that elders describe the same passage with many names: 5th world, 6th sun, 8th fire, Age of Aquarius, Shambhala, but a shared thrust toward renewal. Venerable Dhyani Yuahu teaches that harmonic convergence open a new cycle, inviting people to let go of fear and harmful inventions and make inner vision real through right action and enlightened consciousness. The chapter links human illness and addiction to ecological imbalance and chemically altered foods, and suggests flowers themselves are signaling and aiding healing. Someday, flower-based offerings might help remediate wounded places, if done with clear intention and prayer. A literary detour, Tom Robbins's Jitterbug perfume, is used to propose a floral brain, our light-sensitive neocortex, hinting that practices like meditation literally illumine consciousness as we evolve beyond reptilian and mammalian drives. The close invites readers, self-identified rainbow warriors among them, to treat the Age of Flowers as a mythic call to action and healing service for Earth and future generations. Ways of a Spiritual Warrior connects the rainbow warrior myth to Tibet's Shambhala vision, saying that when life on Earth is imperiled, warriors with no flags or land step into the halls of power to dismantle destructive systems using only 2 weapons: compassion, the will to act, and insight, the wisdom to act skillfully. The chapter urges facing collective despair rather than numbing out, transforming grief into helpful action, and grounds warrior insight in the understanding that all life is interrelated. The sacred hoop, a view echoed by modern physics' unified field perspective. It then offers practical disciplines: master your craft, yet check ego and the impulse to impose beliefs, gather people in council circles, ponder carefully, then dare, persevere, remember mortality, and treat the path as a continual, joyful service to Earth rather than a set of techniques. The epilogue closes by stressing that the book doesn't pedestalize native elders or cultures, acknowledging historic trauma and present struggles, while affirming that indigenous teachings like prayer, ceremony, and the 7th generation principle offer medicine to help heal the Earth. It calls for science, technology, and other dominant institutions to fundamentally reorient, unmasking modern myths such as materialism and the idea that the world is irredeemably chaotic, and instead embracing a wiser, life-honoring vision. McFadden argues the rainbow myth isn't about leaders or hierarchy but about personal sovereignty and responsibility within an interconnected web of relationships, noting that the rainbow warriors are already here, any of us who choose to act. He invites skeptics to consider scientific views of connectedness, and concludes that the bridge to a better world is built through everyday, practical choices that respect the earth, small, steady steps by many people that make the myth real. The legend of the Rainbow Warriors isn't a prophecy about some future cavalry riding in to save us, it's a lived, here and now calling that anyone can choose to answer. In the book's telling, Rainbow Warriors are ordinary people of every background who accept personal responsibility to protect and heal the earth, honor diversity as the source of our strength, and weave a rainbow culture through humble, practical choices: how we pray, consume, grow food, treat animals, support community, and show up each day. It rejects putting native peoples on pedestals while lifting up indigenous teachings, prayer, ceremony, and the seventh-generation principle, as real medicine for a planet in crisis, and urges modern institutions to drop corrosive myths, materialism, nihilism, in favor of a wiser, life-honoring vision. Above all, the legend says the warriors are already here, us, if we choose, building the bridge to a better world step by step, with respect for all creation. This book says the legend of the Rainbow Warriors isn't a single ancient tribal prophecy at all, it's a modern, syncretic story that grew where several streams met. It braids together long-standing indigenous teachings, like the Haudenosaunee seventh-generation ethic and Hopi/Lakota prophecies about a hard time and a choice, 20th-century missionary/Christian and New Age retellings, especially the 1962 tract Warriors of the Rainbow by Willoya and Brown, and the 1960s 80s counterculture and environmental movements, amplified by Greenpeace's ship Rainbow Warrior. Over time those threads were mashed into an easily shared prophecy and often misattributed to a specific tribe, commonly Cree or Hopi. The book's bottom line: its real origin is a collage, part indigenous wisdom, part settler reinterpretation, part activist myth-making, refocused from someday saviors to a present tense call for people of all colors to take responsibility for healing the earth.